So over the weekend, I put up a poll on my community tab asking you all what I should review. And this album by Evergrey was one of the most voted, but I decided to put it off until today because I felt I needed a couple more listens with this album. Usually when I do an album review, I might listen to it an average of like 2 or 3 times. But on this one, I think I got into maybe like 5 or 6 listens. And this music is just very complex, it's different, it's unique, and I needed those extra listens to be able to understand this band. So this is a band I knew about. They actually released an album last year. It was called Escape of the Phoenix, and I didn't actually listen to it. I didn't review it either. Back then my YouTube channel was pretty young, only about like 5 months old, so I do remember a lot of other channels talking about it. And this album, A Heartless Portrait, The Orphean Testament, came out about like 13 or 14 months after Escape of the Phoenix, which is very impressive because it's very rare that a band will release like one album a year, like in this day and age. So basically the band Evergrey is a Swedish heavy metal band. They're from Gothenburg, Sweden. That's very interesting because that city is actually the heart of the melodic death metal scene. But this band is different. They're a progressive metal band, and they're also like a power metal band. And I hear like elements of like Opeth, I hear elements of Dream Theater, I hear elements of like Halloween. So they are very unique, and the lyrics are very like descriptive, they're dark. The band has a big following, so that's what got me interested in checking out the band. The album is 10 songs long, has a runtime of 50 minutes. I think in general I like all the songs. It has a really strong start. So my favorite songs are the ones on the front half of the album, but I would say as a whole, like the entire album is good. The opening track, Save Us, this has some complex rhythms, heavy beat. The guitar work reminded me a little of like the band Opeth. But once you hear the vocals, you know the band has a very different sound. Their vocals are very clean, kind of like a power metal style. And that's why this band is a combination of the progressive rock and power metal. But my favorite song is Midwinter Calls, that's track number 2. It has a very big sound, it's very epic. They incorporate some keyboards into the mix. The guitar riffs are very chunky, and it's very catchy, and it has those like that very memorable chorus like whoa, 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 whoa. And the riffs like like those galloping riffs. So that was a song that I really liked the best out of the entire album. But then there are other songs that were more like those like power metal songs. So, for example, 2 songs are Call Out the Dark and Reawakening. Those are more of like a power metal style with big keyboard riffs and just epic soundscapes. So if you like those like European power metal bands, you'll probably like those songs. But if you like the heavier stuff, something more along the lines of like melodic death metal, or maybe something closer to like Opeth but with clean vocals. The title track, The Orphean Testament, that's a really great song. It just has that complex riffing, those progressive metal rhythms, and just those like unpredictable tempo changes. So I really like that one. Another one of my favorite songs was The Great Unwashed. This one has some pretty cool like Middle Eastern sounding riffs in the intro. It moves at a mid pace and really chunky galloping riffs, and really good example of how they mix the progressive metal with the power metal and a little bit of that traditional heavy metal. So towards the end of the album, they incorporate some of like the lighter stuffs and some more atmospheric songs. So take, for example, a song like Heartless. It's closer to a power metal song. It has the big keyboards, it has the chunky guitar riffs, melodic vocals, but it's a little slower, a little more laid back. But before the album, ends and you think it's kind of getting softer, the second to last song is actually a heavy song called Blindfolded, and it's just progressive metal. The riffs are very complex. You got lots of guitar sounds, lots of keyboard sounds, and they all kind of come together and they kind of do their own thing. The riffs remind me a little more of something like Dream Theater, just very progressive. It's heavy, but it's melodic, and it has those like big choruses and a very epic sound. I think my only complaint would be that they close the album with a ballad called Wildfires, and I'm somebody who likes when they end like an album with like a really heavy song, just like a banger. But they ended it with a ballad. It's not a bad song; it's a good song. But for me, I kind of like ballads when they're like in the middle of the album. But I guess that's just me. That's just my opinion, my personal preference. But they also might have like had a reason for it. Maybe it fit with the entire concept. But anyway, so I definitely recommend you check out the album. It was the first album I heard from the band Evergrey. And after my first listen, the band didn't really click with me. I guess I couldn't really put them into any subgenre, or, I thought the band just, was okay at first, but they do take a few listens to get into. So that's why I didn't review this one like right away. I wanted to wait like a couple days. So that's why they're very complex. They're progressive metal, they mix power metal and different styles of music. So if you like that stuff, you probably like this band. They're very unique. It's a good album. I definitely recommend it. And my score is an 8 out of 10. The next videos what we're doing will be anniversary album reviews. I got Death, Scream, Bloody Gore, celebrating 35 years. Halloween's Keeper of the Seven Keys, Part 1, celebrating 35 years. And, I like to do classic rock as well. So the Beatles, Sgt. Pepper, celebrating 55 years. Stick around. I'll get to those during the week. And thanks for watching, and see you in the next one.